Welcome back, everyone. So today I'll be doing another product review on this ski boot, which is the Atomic Hawx 120 Ultra S. Now, I skied in this ski boot all season last winter. If you watch my previous videos, you know I'm always looking for the ultimate ski boot to fit my foot and to have the best performance and experience. So this was the boot of last year. I'm going to talk about what I liked about this ski boot and what I didn't like, and then finally who it would be ideally for. Now, before I get into all the things I like and dislike about this boot, just a quick overview about this boot. This boot is a 120 flex. Don't get too wrapped up with that number. It could be basically any number from the Atomic Hawx Ultra lineup, and it's probably going to be relevant in this video. If you're looking at that brand and this sort of model, this video is probably going to be helpful for you. Also, if you're looking at other ski boots that are similar to this one, I would recommend taking a look at the Lang RX lineup. That's a very similar boot to this, very similar feel. The other boot that I would recommend is the Salomon S Max. I found that boot to be really close as far as the fit and the feel as this one. In fact, I would say that in some ways, it was even more comfortable than this boot. Some of the other features of this boot include the very traditional setup as far as the 4 buckles, the strap and the tongue, and the way the boot opens up. So very typical. It hasn't really changed much over the years with Atomic. This is kind of what they're known for, and this is how the boot kind of works as far as performance with your foot. A little different architecture, I think, than some other boots. Very traditional style. Materials are high quality. Atomic is one of the top boot manufacturers. So really, when you're looking at this boot and this brand, it's pretty good. I would say that the Hawx Ultra is one of their really good flagship models as well. The Ultra is a little bit more thin fitting for your foot. It's low volume. So you probably want to be an intermediate skier, I would say, or better for this type of boot. You could start with this boot, but I think just because it's low volume, right, that meaning that it doesn't have a lot of padding, it's not going to be necessarily as comfortable for you. I mean, it's really designed for performance first and comfort second. Although it's not an uncomfortable boot. This leather is really nice, and I'm going to talk about that. As far as specs, pretty typical. It does have an adjustment here at the back where you can adjust that for the forward lean to make this even more aggressive than it already is. But for me, I just left it at the defaults. That was good enough for me. All right, let's talk about what I like about this boot. I like the construction, very high quality construction. This material, I don't know what it is, but it's really nice. The materials allow the boot to flex very nicely. No wasted effort or energy. It flexes well. It doesn't feel like it's going to break or distort. That's great because when you're skiing, it allows you to really focus on your technique and your skiing ability rather than what is the boot doing this time, which is great. I also like the materials. So this nice leather, even though it's low volume and not a lot of padding, it feels really nice. So I like that. When you put it on, it's like sitting down in a nice luxury car. You've got the leather seats that just wrap around you. The same sort of feeling that I get when I put my foot into this boot. It's like, ah, yeah, that feels good. Now, I'm going to talk about that, about putting your foot into this boot, because it's not all like rainbows and unicorns, okay, with this boot. But that aspect of it, the materials, that is really good. All right, so I like that about this boot. I also like when I have my foot in this boot, how it feels. It feels really nice as far as the fit. So my foot is a little bit weird. I have a thin heel and I have a wide forefoot. So I like a wide toe box, but a very narrow heel. This provides that. When I drop my heel into this boot, it locks in. There's no movement. It feels fantastic. It really feels locked in and secure. Yet in the front here, it feels like I've got enough room. I did get this blown out a little bit, punched out by a boot fitter. I always recommend that. I think that's a worthwhile investment. However, they didn't do a lot on this boot. I think for the most part, for most people, you may not have to do that. I would recommend you always look into that because I think a boot fitter is very affordable and can really make a big difference with the ski boot for your foot to make it customized perfect for you. So those are the things I like about this boot. I like the way that it fits when it's on my foot, how it performs. I like the quality of the materials, both the outside shell as well as the inside, very luxurious, very high quality. And those are things that I think are really important in a ski boot, right? Does it fit you well? And even though this ski boot fits me very well, there's no guarantee it's going to fit you really well. Everyone's feet are different. So take every review, including this one, with a grain of salt and go try on some boots. That's the only way you're going to know for sure. However, if you have a narrow heel and a wider toe box, this may be for you. So now I've talked about what I like. Let's talk about what I don't like about this ski boot. And there's a few important things. Even though this fits really well, even though it's a great made boot, and I think it could be suitable for a lot of people, for me, I just couldn't get over how terrible the experience is getting my foot in and out of this boot. So because it fits so well right here, there's not a lot of flex, and it doesn't open up very well for you to get your foot in or out. You just crank the tongue forward, and then it gets caught in between the plastic here if you're not careful, and then you try to slide your foot in. And if you don't successfully get your foot all the way in, you're going to get the top area of your foot caught in here, and it's going to pinch and maybe tear and at least feel extremely uncomfortable. So I physically start to get anxious when I have to put my foot in this boot or take it off, which is even worse. So that is not a good element or experience. What I found is putting the boot on, I just have to fully commit, just jump and push in hard to get my foot all the way in to avoid it getting caught there, because it's the worst feeling. I don't know if you've experienced that before, but it's not good when your foot is cranked straight and it's not at that 90-degree angle, or at least some angle, and you're trying to get it in there and it's halfway in, and then you realize your skin is caught in the plastic here and it's in your, yeah, it's not good. And then getting it off after a hard day of skiing, maybe the weather is not good and your foot is swollen, everyone else is going for beers, and you're still struggling to get your foot out of this. That's not fun either. So once or twice is doable, but after you've done that dozens of times, it starts to wear pretty thin. So I don't like that. Even though the fit is great, I can't get past that, right? It's just not nice. So that's the biggest thing. That's the reason I don't like this boot. And this is not a big deal for some people. Some people are like, yeah, I just throw my foot in there and I just yank it out at the end of the day. But when I'm in my truck and I got a gut ache from trying to bend over and pull my foot out, and then it's getting caught, and it's just too much of a hassle for me personally. The other thing that I don't like about this boot is the last day of skiing last season, which is weird, I got blisters on both feet. And it was right on the inside area here. And they were kind of horizontal like this. So I'm guessing I cranked it up too tight. And with the movement of my foot, each time I flexed the boot, I guess, which it does have a good flex, but I guess that caused the blister on both my legs, which is so weird. I've never had that before, but that was a bit of a turnoff for me. And is it the boot's fault? Maybe not. It could be operator error. I guess I cranked it up too tight. I don't know. I looked in the liner, actually. I couldn't find any issues. So I don't know exactly what's going on, but I don't like that. So that's the other thing about this boot. So those are the two big things. The first is getting it on and off. That's the biggest thing. The blisters, never had that before in any other boot in my whole life. So I don't know what's going on there. And I guess if I really wanted to nitpick, some of the other things that I don't like about this boot is it's a 4-buckle boot, which is great. I actually kind of like a 4-buckle boot. But this buckle here, for the most part, I find is useless. It just doesn't do anything, right? And I think they advertise it as doing some micro adjustment or whatever, but it doesn't do anything for me. The bigger issue here is the strap. So if I was to keep this strap, or this boot rather, I would replace this strap with a power strap. I just find that it's not that effective where it is and how it works, and the way that it's just a very traditional one where you like yank it and then stick it, right? And I just don't find that those do the trick for me. That probably a lot of people, that would be totally fine. Everything else is fine, like the quality of these buckles is nice, the color scheme is nice, all that is nice, materials are nice. So it's really hard to be nitpicky about it. If this fits you fine and you can get your foot in and out of it okay, try it. When you go to the shop, try it, see what that's like. That's going to be your best experience. That's not outside on the ice or in your truck or after a day of skiing or in lousy weather. That's in a controlled environment when your feet are feeling good and you have lots of energy. So try it then. If it's a pain in the ass, well, imagine what it's going to be like at the end of a day of skiing, right? There's that. That would be probably your big test. But otherwise, yeah, it's a good boot. So who would use this boot? I think that anybody who's an intermediate skier or better, I think that for a beginner, this may not be appropriate. You could try it, but it is low volume, right? So this is made for performance, and it does perform. Don't get me wrong, like this boot is great in that regard. I felt like this boot gave me a lot of great control, very even and high quality flex, really consistent. So all those things are good, and that's probably why it is such a pain to get on and off, is because the architecture of the boot is designed on purpose to be like that. So it's a bit of a trade-off, right? If you want the performance, you don't care about getting it on or off or the experience that that's going to bring you, then this could work really well for you. I think it's also designed for a particular type of foot. So if you've got a really big foot, then this may not work for you. Yeah, I think if you're a more of an expert skier, there's some other options for you to look at as well. I think for an intermediate skier like myself, this was a really good option for me. I have no idea what I'm going to look at next. I've got a couple ideas, but like, this is a nice boot. This fits really well. The Salomon S Max fit very well, very similar to this, very similar feel. So maybe I'll be rocking that one next winter. I'm not sure. If you've got some suggestions for me, things you've tried on that you liked that were similar to this as far as feel, let me know. I'd love to hear from you and get some good ideas on what to try next. Winter's coming up fast. It's fall already. The leaves are changing color, so I got to get organized and find something else to try out. But also, if you have any questions on this boot, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions. Hopefully you have a great ski season. Stay safe.